We are the women of Manchester, and it's for freedom we are fighting now. We are the women of Manchester, and it's for freedom we are fighting now. Oh, heavy load,
our heavy load,
heavy load,
our heavy load,
it's gonna take some really strength. Oh, heavy load,
our heavy load, our heavy load,
it's gonna take some really strength.
So what do we mean by holding the state to account? Well, the state has a whole series of duties to act in accordance with international treaty obligations, human rights treaties, statutes, laws that have been passed over the years around protecting and preventing violence against women and girls. Further to those sort of obligations and common law obligations are a whole series of policies and guidances that have been developed by different state agencies, such as the police, which say this is how we ought to do, how we ought to actually practice. This is how, you know, in relation to rape, we're supposed to start off with the presumption that you believe the woman when she comes to you. That is embedded in practice and policy and guidance. The reality is, as all of you who work either with victims and survivors, or as lawyers, or in your various different areas know, that practice doesn't actually happen a lot of the time. And so that's where legal challenges come in. The second area, in terms of discrimination in the criminal justice system, this is very, very specifically defined. We're not talking about general discrimination, sex discrimination across the board, but we're talking about situations where victims of abuse suddenly are criminalised. We see that in relation to, for example, the issue of homicide, and about how women who are victims of domestic violence, who end up in extreme situations killing, and are then become the perpetrators, and the way in which the law treats those women. Or we see it again, to use another example that I've had seen too many cases of, women who make complaints of rape, whose complaints are complicated or difficult, aren't believed, and then are prosecuted for perverting the course of justice. Those are two examples. There are many others that I'm sure you've all come across. And both those areas, I think, are areas that are ripe for strategic legal challenges.
Access to the law is about us shaping the law and recognising that women are excluded from the law in terms of the lawmakers, and that the effect of this is that laws are unfair, that there is no gateway for women to actually challenge that, and that we continue to live under structural bias and unfair practices as a result. I think it's also an understanding in terms of accessing the law that the law is a tool. The law is a vehicle for us, but it's not the only tool.
You don't just do the case in isolation and it kind of quietly creeps through. You try and focus, you try and bring local media, national media, international media focus on those issues. And when that happens, suddenly the state reacts and starts to behave. And so one of the aims of this centre is to work outwardly, not to use campaigning where campaigning is possible, to get media attention where it is appropriate and possible. Obviously there are certain cases where somebody will not want media coverage, but where it's possible, where you can highlight it, that plays, I think, as much as a role as getting legal changes through the precedent system, in terms of making the state do its job properly and stopping it from persecuting women.
I think there's a public impression that may be there now that lots of these cases are resulting in criminal prosecutions, because of course when you do get prosecutions in this area they tend to attract quite a lot of media publicity, so people think that these cases are being very actively prosecuted. In fact, only a very small proportion of child sexual exploitation cases are resulting in criminal prosecutions.
and I wish I could forget about the way he made me feel, timid, scared and enclosed. The day I tried to tell her what had happened, what he had done, she shouted up, "Stop telling lies, go back to sleep." She said, "No one believed you." She said, "Don't tell anyone, they will think it's weird." I wish I could forget the area I grew up in. I wish I could forget my childhood. It helps to remember that yesterday was the past, tomorrow is the future.
I was 15 when I was abused. None of the men who ever abused me have ever been brought to book. None of them who sold me or bought me have ever been brought to book. And I sit here and I speak out for all the women who are so silenced, mentally ill, traumatised, dead women because of abuse of males. We can all make a difference to end violence against women and girls today. Enough is enough!
I think there is a particular problem that women face if they're disabled. I think there's a particular problem women face if they're from an ethnic minority. It makes it all the easier for the police to ignore you because you're doubly invisible in that way.
It's really, really important that as the legal profession you understand, like Sandra was saying, but it's also about understanding black women's issues, yeah? And the fact that white women's issues are not the same, and we need that support.
Routinely, women talk about being classified as illegals, devoid of rights or access to any support, including those actually which don't fall within public funds remit, such as outreach support. Time and time again, women are being failed over and over and over again by state and non-state actors in terms of their bid to seek safety when experiencing domestic violence and gender-based violence and trying to exit that violence and from that abuser, stroke abusers. And what we know when women are turned away who are experiencing gender-based violence, what we know is that women and children die.
This is not right. What Home Office and what Circle and what police are doing when we are asylum seeker. But we are women, we are human, but we are not animals. They're treating us, we are animals.
We want their suit to close. We want their suit to